Last year was a real whirlwind of emotions for everybody, right? All of our lives were altered in some way. Amberlynn was diagnosed and thankfully recovered from cancer. She had to have a hysterectomy, she moved to Lexington with her partner Becks, and they even reconnected with their mother for the first time in her adult life. What a positive volley that was set up for an active year of recovery and improvement. Cancer should have been the kick to the tit to make improvement in her exercise, mental health, diet, or, anything. But man, did she really dedicate herself to not doing any of that. 2021 is less stressful than last year, but at the cost of being infinitely more boring. Which is strange given they moved to a more active metropolitan area in Kentucky, and you'd think the new lease on life would get them out and about more, but nope. We get to see the same thing as usual. This is the beginning of the LiveStream era. It's like watching paint dry, but with the added brain damage of huffing the paint too. To counter this chemical inhalant, we'll exercise the brain by diving into her habits as a person, with means yet no motivation, her relationship with Beck, the LiveStream self-reports, and examine how Amberlynn unintentionally delves deeper into an ancient Greek meditation practice called omphaloskepsis, better known as navel-gazing. Data rules the same as always. All data is based on what Amberlynn Reed herself has shared or shown in a video. I'm not going to make anything up that isn't actually shown in a video or anything she hasn't told us. No decimal points in the chart. 530.8 and 530.1 will be marked at 530. She keeps claiming that ounces matter, but when you're the size of a Sportster 883, I disagree. No guesstimating fluctuations between gaps in tracking. Direct route from one weight to the next only.
When the lights begin to dim and we go somewhere we've never been before.
But I'm like dumb. So,
who was the 17th president?
Oh God.
Good God. I don't know. Abraham Lincoln?
Was he even a president?
Not just entertained, but somehow reborn.
Was Abraham Lincoln a president?
Yes.
Oh, I thought he was just a whatever.
And stories feel perfect and powerful.
I know my live streams are so boring. I'm sorry.
Because here, they are. We make movies better.
And after everything that's happened in 2020, it's been a wild ride, especially, me being diagnosed with cancer. That really shook my whole life around. Hopefully in a year, I weigh 426.8, and you know what? No, not hopefully, it's going to happen. So I ordered the Cheesecake Factory. If you feel okay being a person who judges someone's or then that's on you. And I weighed in at 551.2. I feel miserable. I feel horrible. Weight loss surgery is for people like me. People who just don't know what to do anymore.
Get regular blood work and pay attention for sugar cravings, because sugar feeds cancer. We have broke up.
But I cannot see myself ever remotely looking at someone like I looked at you. I don't know. I'm tired of being talked down to, being called lazy and a failure. Do I have someone currently calling me wifey? Yeah, I do. I'm gonna be honest. Wifey's not dating me. She's not taking me on a date. Convenient that Becky getting put out the same week wifey arrives. This is just to prove. Because I ain't got no wifey, so. Wifey era, we have moved past that. Wifey is a thing in the past. We do still talk. I am dating someone. How did you meet your current girlfriend, and who asked who to make it official? We met online and she asked me. It wasn't until recently that I started to be fearful of dying. I could be eating better, eating less. I know that in this moment, but it's just the progress I have made so far. I'm very proud.
She really is a creature of habit, isn't she? Last year, we got a reading in November before she called it quits, which revealed itself in January after gaining 17 pounds, starting off the year at 526. The first quarter of 2021 is scary since we get our usual January weigh-in, then 4 in mid-March where she gets back up to 551 pounds. How she lived her life, knowing she's always within 25 pounds of her highest weight, was fascinating, in like a Chernobyl kind of way. Then we get a plateau with most of the activity for the second quarter, receiving only 4 weigh-ins in late April to late May, with no data points in June. Q3, we have her starting at 562 pounds, 10 pounds away from her highest weight ever and her average of 2019. Gaining 32 pounds since January, July she made some mild adjustments since she lost 30 pounds in a month. Wow, almost like trying has positive results. It did not come from a place of motivation. She needed a new caretaker after Becks broke up with them at the end of June, and finding a new one is harder when you can't clean yourself easily. She must have been tracking during this time period after finding Wifey. She didn't share it, but she got lower than her starting weight by October. Q4, her weight took a consistent downward trajectory from October to December, getting into the 400s for an actual positive weight loss trajectory, a first in her journey's entire history. Wait, no, that can't be true. Oh my god, oh yikes! We have a lot of data points with patterns and a couple of outliers, so let's go over them here on this new giant chart from 2015 to 2021. What a beauty! I'm excluding 2014 since Amberlynn was entirely dependent on Crystal's family for literally everything, and they didn't have any income of their own. At 24 years old, she chose to just live in a mother-in-law suite and do nothing all day. It was also the last time she was in the 300s for an entire year, so it's too much of an outlier to really put in with the other dysfunctional years so far. I just want to go over all the things that occur when Amberlynn has financial freedom, their own income, and their own choices to make. So with that, let's go over Amberlynn's patterns I've noticed over the years so far. Starting off, motivation is seasonal based. January will have some check-ins, with a small drop in weight almost always fizzles out by February. March, she may have another crack at saving her life, but springtime is when she plateaus or has a slowdown or a mild gain or loss. April to June is usually very inactive for tracking her weight, or giving us a weigh-in. She might be tracking, but we don't know it. She has a spike in July, with several of her highest weigh-ins over the years occurring in July, which reinstills tracking for the month before the scale goes missing in August and September. October has a spike with some last-minute accountability, and there is typically a gap in weigh-ins between Q3 to Q4. She typically gives up by November. She'll still gain weight, but at a significantly slower pace than she did earlier in the year. We have several years where she really doesn't track at all either past September or in September, and we just kind of have to wait until January 1st through the 10th before we get a weigh-in update. Her lowest weight is typically in January, only because the rest of the year just turns into a nightmare. 72% of the time, her lowest weight is occurring in Q1, with her highest weight usually occurring near the end of the year from Q3 to Q4. If she is not tracking her weight, she is gaining weight. We have several instances to prove this point. Every year, she'll go 30 to 120 days without weighing in. It could be just weight fatigue, just tired of it all. 1 to 4 months isn't out of the question. It's interesting because if it's a gap that's under 2 months, she gains more than 10 pounds usually. Where if it's a longer duration, say 3 to 4 months, it's usually less than 10 pounds. During these longer gaps, she herself is tracking and being a little aware of herself enough to not cause too much damage. She just isn't sharing because it's either going up a little bit or she's maintaining a really high weight with no real want or need to improve, which we, the audience, thinks she should maybe prioritize when you're post-cancer and still over 500 pounds making terrible decisions on the daily. August to October is when her weight creeps up, rarely checking in September since those gaps mean she's been eating horrifically and way too frequently. She plateaus or slows down her weight gain around the beginning of October. Maybe a small loss here and there, but by then it's too late. November to December, we're in holiday mode, and she gains weight and doesn't check the scale because it's time for the holidays. The holidays are usually a change of pace for everybody else with a day job or a regular schedule, but how mid-December and mid-April are different in Amberlynn's world is beyond my understanding. In 2021, we see a rare decline in her weight at the end of the quarter. Her first ever for Q4, which I think is only because she has a new character joining the already very small cast. On average, she will gain between 10 to 20 pounds from her last weigh-in Q3 or 4 to her first one in January of the following year. I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers at you. These will all be in the description box below. Feel free to pause, it's a lot of data. This overly abused Excel chart showcases the amount of times Amberlynn has recorded her weight each month and year. Red shading is least number of recordings, being 0, and green shading is the months with the most recorded weigh-ins. Blue shading are outliers I have omitted from the average given they're too great of a variant to be useful. This was decided by if the largest number was more than double the second largest number recorded, which is why May of 2019 is omitted, but not June of 2019. This omission carries over to the average. Just because Amberlynn weighed in 20 times in October of 2021, one time, it skews the data from the true average of 0.85. Live streams were a blessing and a curse. Well, the blessing was for Amberlynn because they got to make a lot more money just sitting and answering really silly questions all day, and curse that upon the viewers having to watch that under the assumption that something interesting might happen, but nothing ever really left the realm of paint drying in most of these sessions.
Have you guys ever done that thing where you ask someone one question and then you have to keep saying why? Do you think you'll end up like Life by Jen, being 600 pounds and neglecting your health? Do you guys like Olivia Rodrigo?
Have you ever visited a flea market?
Why do you take the personality of everyone you date?
Ever gone mountain biking?
Do you like true crime?
Have you ever visited a Chinatown section in a major city?
Do you play any mobile games?
Can you remember the tallest man you've ever seen?
Streaming yourself for hours on end is usually paired with an activity. Maybe you're going somewhere, talking through some type of build, a game. There are endless possibilities for you to do an activity with your audience, but just sitting and talking about yourself for 2 to 4 hours?
It's so much more boring when they don't read the chat. Hey!
Without the ability to edit, and to be fair, she does make already very questionable judgments of what she chooses to keep in a video, but without even that floodgate, we got to really experience in real time her more narcissistic tendencies. I can't diagnose anyone, none of my degrees or education have much weight, so I'm going to be saying tendencies since a lot of people have maladaptive or disorder tendencies without needing a proper diagnosis.
I'm excited, but I'm also absolutely terrified.
Well, at least you're excited, you said. That's a little crazy sounding.
It's because I'm excited to start taking care of myself.
But you could do all that now.
Amberlynn with us together.
I mentioned earlier about the concept of umphaloskepsis, or navel gazing. It was meant as having time to reflect upon your actions or self-examination, and that does not equate to narcissism, having self-reflection. Having time to think back on yourself and re-examine how you could conduct yourself is something lots of people do through journaling, meditation, or maybe the more hellish version of staying up at night thinking about how you told the movie theater employee, "You too," after they told you to enjoy your show. Oh my God, so embarrassing. Even doing those fun little silly early 2000s Quizilla questions. It's fun to try to gauge things about yourself in a comfortable environment, just to experiment about how you think about things or want to present yourself or things you want to interact with. Without those quizzes, how else was I supposed to know my Patronus, if I was gay, what my werewolf name was, if I was gay, or what Naruto character was my best friend? And if I was gay for them. Navel gazing is usually meant as a form of self-absorption. Your whole world is just yourself. It's strange to just focus on yourself all day, every day. And she does literally nothing all day to warrant questions besides superficial ones with minimal real-world intentions. Amberlynn has no real-life experience besides things happening to her. She has time, and she has a very nice income, but no physical ability to do much besides sit and talk about themselves. We know she hasn't been burdened with a lot of schooling in life.
Russia is Precisely. I just want to say I was never taught this, okay? So
You were in school, but you weren't listening.
And does have a really hard time connecting with her peers that do have to, do things all day. Amberlynn does get a lot of hate online, but she doesn't have to go into a meeting with people she doesn't like physically, ever. I'm not saying that internet bullying isn't a really awful, terrible thing that a lot of people have to deal with, and I would even say Amberlynn has to deal with a lot of it that's very unwarranted. But it's much easier to just not go online than it is to just not go to your job and deal with criticism about your work. Where if you are not meeting expectations, you are fired. But you would really think she would use this time to learn anything. We're in 2025 and she still hasn't figured out picture-in-picture. Being perceived by others through a screen is her only form of experiencing the world, unfortunately. Her own inner monologue is the content, not an activity or a goal they're working towards. She has no life because she has no real experience outside of trauma that she just regurgitates every couple of months. The few people she does have in her life, that's all she can really reflect upon. It's just answering hypothetical questions for someone 550 pounds stuck on a couch all day, with no real movement in any direction to make those a reality.
I feel like if I was to visit anywhere in Japan, it would probably be Tokyo.
You have to point to it.
Hey Flower, am I missing anything?
I'm back. But yeah, I think it really failed on that whole live stream thing, because for as little editing that she does technically edit clips together and rewatch them, but the live stream is straight brain to mouth. And that's just a magical thing to watch.
Criticism does not become harassment just because you don't like it. Calm down. You're an idiot. I don't mean to be rude, but I kind of do actually. I know the difference between criticism and harassment. I'm not a idiot. Name a U.S. territory. Kentucky. What day of the 9/11? September 11th, 2001.
So she's making all this money, doing all of this work, and we're just watching her balloon again.
Because sugar feeds cancer.
Ever since I started Weight Watchers, I don't have sugar cravings.
I've noticed.
I just have me a few little snacks at the end of the night because I want them.
Nowhere like it had been.
I think in all of this, it just made it more and more obvious to everyone just how non-functional this relationship was. So, I don't know about you all, I was not freaking surprised when they broke up with each other on fucking live stream.
Speaking of the breakup, Becks finally breaking up with Amberlynn in June of 2021 was the biggest shakeup to Amberlynn's channel. To this day, Becks holds the record for being with Amberlynn the longest on her YouTube channel. Based on my guesstimations, from Crystal to Destiny to Becks to Wifey, the gaps between those relationships was between 1 to 4 months. Not sure how many ballers are out there watching this, but a rebound is when a player regains possession of the ball after a missed shot. A relationship rebound is quickly moving on to another partner after the end of a relationship. Amberlynn Reed is the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar of relationship rebounds. No need to have a psych degree to know rebounding after a breakup is an infill for an emotional and physical void left behind from a breakup. No shade if you're on the backboards after a relationship ends. We're all mostly human. Maybe you've been the rebounder or the ball or both. It's not the most healthy thing in the world, but it is pretty common, and it doesn't mean you're a detrimental person or likely to have negative relationships in the future. But serial monogamy at Mach 5 speeds means you're not actually moving on. You're filling a void with whoever will fit that void, even if you shove them into it. You can't reflect on how a relationship ended when you're moving someone else in on the lease. Since there's rarely time to reflect on what your part in the breakup even was. You don't even have time to really think about what you want to improve upon, and figuring out what your non-negotiables are for your next relationship. For someone that journals so damn much, you would think she would kind of figure this pattern out, but I think she just willingly ignores it because she's uncomfortable and needs to have somebody in her life. Remember, her partner is the only person she can really experience and reflect life off of. Becks, in my opinion, is an individual that didn't have a lot of strong boundaries and felt overly loyal to Amberlynn, even at the end. They're not perfect, no one is perfect, I'm not trying to put them on a pedestal, and they've made plenty of mistakes themselves. I'm going to be an armchair therapist this round. For one thing, I think Becks, a lot of issues come from a place of ignorance and low self-esteem.
And, I grew up in a very strict Christian home where I even grew up homophobic. So
they had shared multiple times that they had a lot of self-loathing and bigotry from their family due to their sexuality. Their elder siblings had their own families to care for, leaving Becks with their friends as their main point of social support and validation, a very common occurrence for queer individuals. But then, someone online thought they were neat, and they wanted to date them after sending a message of support.
She saw one of my YouTube videos.
And the comments were bad. They were so mean. And I'm just like, this girl is probably gonna herself, so...
Nothing screams romance like someone feeling pity for you on the online hate you receive. Becks, with their minimal boundaries, years of unacceptance, and unsuccessful dating history, probably relished the idea of being the pillar of support for someone else. They were able to drive, get takeout, be in their videos, move them into their home, drive Amberlynn to the hospital, grab takeout, walk the animals, take them to the vet, etc., etc. Becks did everything for Amberlynn. Enabling came with pacifying their partner, a routine we see all too frequently on TLC. To me, it's a 4-year relationship of being tethered financially, being emotionally codependent on each other, Amberlynn weaponizing their learned helplessness to intensify guilting Becks as a form of really nasty manipulation, and Becks' low self-esteem that kept them around 2 years longer than the average. We knew Beck did other things as well, for much longer than they should have, because they loved their partner, and their partner loved being loved by their partner. And I honestly don't think Amberlynn knows how to really love someone properly. In a relationship, a power imbalance isn't always immediate. It's a slow boiling point that can creep in by isolating them from their friends and family to be cared for. It can be them being the only source of financial income in the dynamic. It can be emotionally demanding that causes fatigue to just go along to get along. And if Becks left, who would take care of Amberlynn and the pets?
At one point, she said that I didn't do any caretakery things for her, so I didn't feel like a caretaker.
And the assumption is Becky has to help you to wipe. I can tell you right now, if that was the case, I just wouldn't be in a relationship.
But I did start to feel like a caretaker, and I had felt like one since we had lived with Eric and Ricky.
If I needed help to wipe my butt, that's not exciting, that's not sexy. I would no longer feel like a girlfriend, and I would more so feel like someone that she needs to take care of.
And that didn't stop until the day we broke up. But even before then, I felt like a caretaker.
On a very serious note, everybody, have your own money. The second you have the ability and means to do so, save some money for yourself that's only accessible to you. Have your own savings, your own income, or at least a set saved amount of money that only you can access to cover bills and housing or emergency funds for a couple of months at least, before releasing your ability to have an income. Putting up with to avoid poverty or homelessness is what keeps a lot of individuals with their partner. Financial is very nefarious, it's very sneaky, and often it's too late before you realize that's what's occurring. Even unintentionally, the other might think they're just being a provider and a breadwinner, but at the cost of you being unable to leave.
During almost every argument, she would tell me how she pays all the bills and buys all the food, as if that gave her a right to control me, and as if I contributed nothing to her life. I would tell her each time that if she felt that way, I'd gladly go back to working. She'd quickly say, no, I don't want you to do that. And she didn't. She couldn't handle being apart from me for any extended period of time.
We can say that I was and controlling, because I was very controlling of their time.
She needed a caretaker, and that was already my full-time job, and a thankless one.
But never once have I ever been financially. We have been equally so bad with money.
Disclaimer, I am not Dave Ramsey. I do not have billions of dollars in savings. I don't have any understanding of stocks or investments. And I myself have made very unwise financial decisions in my youth. And now. I have been in and out of thousands of dollars worth of credit card debt, and being stuck in the void has not afforded me exemption from student loan payments. But I have enough knowledge and experience now to know some parts of this video really don't make sense.
My mom saw Beck had their own debit card, literally their own debit card.
1. You can have multiple debit cards to one bank account. This is very common in the United States.
Why? I don't remember why we did it. It's just I remember me and Destiny also shared a bank account, so it felt normal to me. The first time ever like receiving money from like as an income, I was with Destiny and we both had an income and we were putting our money together. So then when I first got with Beck, they had an income, I had an income, and I thought that was normal for like couples to get a bank account together. So I literally just went on theirs.
2. Lots of married couples do not have shared or joint accounts. Lots of married couples do have joint bank accounts for things like household expenses and savings, because a married couple is far more likely to have a life planned out together with mutually agreed upon long-term financial goals.
And we had our own separate debit cards that were in the joint account together. Any money that Beck received would go into the same spot that my money went to because, again, it was joint. I didn't have private anything.
3. It's also very common for couples to have their own separate account while having a joint account.
Their account right here, which we shared, but I could not get into it. So I have so many screenshots of Beck sending me screenshots of the bank because I couldn't see it.
And 4. You absolutely can receive access to an account you deposit money into. There is no reason why Amberlynn couldn't get their own login to an account they shared. If it's one thing about banks, they're more than happy to open a new bank account for somebody, but that would involve physically going to the bank and, you know.
I'm lazy. Me and Beck had a joint account, and it was originally their bank account. So it was originally their bank account. And when we got together, I ended up going on their bank account together. So we were joint bank accounts. So any money that either of us both received went into one full-fledged, one area.
And this is just my own opinion, but I think Amberlynn thought that if Becks was the only one that had, like, access to the bank account, it gave the illusion that Becks had any control of the account. So when Becks received an inheritance, their own money meant for them, Amberlynn convinced them to use it for bills and rent when they broke up.
When my mother passed away, me and my siblings received a portion of a settlement from my dad's job that ended up being around $5,000 to $6,000 for each of us. When I told her that I would like to do something with the money, she dismissed it and treated me like I owed it to her and it wasn't my choice. She said that I couldn't have it because the bills needed to be paid, even though I knew that she was making enough from YouTube to cover bills and rent with no problem.
Sidebar, I am not a lawyer, but Amberlynn using money in their joint bank account that was meant for Becks, for bills and other silly things, was morally wrong. It's not illegal though. Amberlynn didn't need money. Becks did. But sadly, Becks willingly put their inheritance in a bank account that Amberlynn could access. It was incredibly naive and short-sighted of Becks to permit Amberlynn that level of agency over their original bank account. Becks doesn't have a single legal leg to stand on. You cannot claim theft for putting money in a joint bank account. Joint ownership means equal access. I know there's exceptions here and there depending on the state and other things, but Becks was incredibly foolish for not taking efforts to keep that income separate. Things that are morally wrong aren't illegal. And sadly, this was a very harsh lesson that Becks paid a very literal price point to learn. So please, for your safety, have some form of financial independence for yourself when able. After the breakup, Beck stayed with Amberlynn for a bit, watching their inheritance drain away for takeout and the internet bill used by Amberlynn to gush about her new beau, Wifey.
If I want to get married right now, I can get married.
Go ahead, but I won't be your friend no more. I don't know.
Why?
Because you're moving on, and it's going to do nothing but hurt you and the person in the end. So it's very unhealthy.
I think that you're just a little jellyfish.
No, you want to go ahead? Go ahead. Go.
Okay, what if I started dating someone?
This soon?
Okay, flirting hardcore.
You could do what you want. We'll see.
I'm a very rebound type of gal.
Dear God, Amberlynn let us know there was someone at bat the second Becks was serious about the breakup. Maybe not the second, but less than a calendar month is pretty fast for a 4-year relationship to a new lover.
Okay, so the title says new wifey because it's a joke. Do I have someone currently calling me wifey? Yeah. Who's Francis? I don't even know who Francis is. Like, no idea. I'm just kidding. Y'all are gonna think I'm crazy. Inside joke with her new potential girlfriend. I promise, not like that. It seems like you're heavily flirting with someone already. No. I mean, I don't like, okay.
It was very aggravating watching Amberlynn lie to the audience. She always had someone ready to go pick up the pieces when she's dumped. She's a victim and needs help, so Wifey was there to set goals and give encouragement.
I don't know, she's just really helpful in that way, and like she's helping me want to like walk more and like giving me little goals. I think I've never really had someone that I'm like into like that, like want to help me with stuff like that. Like Becky just, she didn't seem like she had the desire to help me like Wifey does. Of like the support, like I have someone who's like, this isn't shade against Becky, but I like have someone in my corner that's like a different type of like motivation.
Sure, words of encouragement are nice. And Amberlynn did lose weight only when they needed a new girlfriend.
Well, speaking of positive, I weighed myself again today and I'm just like losing weight. I am like doing this thing. I don't even understand. Ain't I, Becky?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like so
She's
proud
doing
of
her
myself.
exercises.
When Amberlynn wants to, she can lose 30 pounds in a month. She did it in January of 2020 and in July of 2021.
We probably might not have been in love. Like, we loved each other.
Yeah. No, y'all, these are things I already knew. Literally, I can promise you right now, it doesn't shock me because every relationship I've ever been in, it turns out they didn't really love me. So this is nothing new, and I'm not that upset about it because I get it. Do you think you're in love now? Do you think she's in love with you? That's a very nice feeling. Congratulations. I've never had that.
I don't know. Becky and I just had like routine, and I think it was like to the point where I just felt like no one else was ever gonna love me or like find me attractive. And it's like,
She did guilt me in other ways, like saying who would help her and who would take care of her, who would be there with her, if she would be lonely, that kind of stuff.
okay,
What a girl.
what if I started dating someone?
This soon?
Okay, flirting hardcore.
You could do what you want.
Like hardcore, like get to my pants.
The live streams go on to showcase Amberlynn just being, for lack of better words, super shitty. None of this was needed to be said for anyone that gave up so much time and energy towards them. Energy that Becks could have shared with, I don't know, their mother who fucking died in 2020, literal weeks after Amberlynn's hysterectomy.
The reason I got the tattoo is for my mother who passed away. And so she passed away at her home on July 24th.
And moving to Lexington by themselves with no help from anybody.
I just got done crying a little bit, and like my mother-in-law essentially, because Becky and I are going to be together forever, is like not here anymore, and it hurts. So tell me, how come the guys who are against gay marriage are the guys who watch lesbian porn and get turned on by it? I don't know, I miss her, you know? Do you regret moving on from Becky so fast? No, everything happens for a reason.
So just imagine knowing your ex has not only moved on so quickly, you have to hear all the disgusting things they say.
I haven't had sex in 3 hours. Even though I already thought she was a troll, because I was like, how can someone this attractive like me? It's so weird.
I think I would rather get hit by a truck. Wifey made it very clear they didn't want to be on camera. They didn't want their identity shared, and Amberlynn pathological inability to not overshare was their downfall. She shared way too much information about Wifey. Wifey was probably telling themselves about Amberlynn, and Amberlynn, rather than just keeping it to themselves, had to showcase it.
Yes, she is black. To prove. There we go. The person I'm talking to is 5 years younger than me. I'm literally 30 and she's 25, so
I'm a Scorpio.
Scorpio, love that. Hey, message me back, my queen. You look so good. You've been on my mind the past week. Thank you so much. When do I move to New York? I'm not moving to New York.
The past week. Thank you so much. When do I move to New York? I'm not moving to New York.
Yeah, I don't know what a barb is either. Like, a lot of people keep saying that. I don't know what that is.
She's cute.
Very nice smile.
Oh. And athletic. And yeah.
That's my wife. The intention is to hopefully marry her one day.
Stop. I can't with you. I can't. Okay, well, you heard it here. Oh my God. The bored housewife, Kendall. Who's Francis? I don't even know who Francis is. Like, no idea. I'm just kidding. Y'all are gonna think I'm crazy. It's just an inside joke. I promise. Far from Jaded, welcome to Stream Queens. And Mac, welcome to Stream Queens. Love that. What?
I gotta get on. I love you. So Jada, love her too.
Amberlynn could be mad at Becks for revealing Wifey's name as Jade, but that final puzzle piece only existed because Amberlynn already built the darn thing. Too much about them was already exposed well before then. Alright, don't harass anyone. This is all based on freely given information by someone with a massive audience. Remember, if you willingly permit or put personal information out online, it's your responsibility. So, here's my walkthrough. The ever simple Google search of Francis and Jade revealed to the internet this individual right here, who has several identifiers that match them what we have already been given by themselves and Amber.
Becky said her name was Jade. It's a joke because you guys started saying her name was Jade, so now Becky calls her Jade as a joke.
Despite being jokes, quote unquote, I think Amber just realized how badly they screwed up by exposing too much and poorly tried to cover it up. Francis as a name is one thing. Could be a first name, a last name, whatever. But repeatedly focusing on Francis and Far From Jaded in the live stream was especially dumb for both parties trying to be discreet. So we either got Francis Jade or Jade Francis, and look at this, we found a track and field athlete from the University of Delaware. No one in this entire cast so far I would call athletic, so athlete being a title for Amberlynn to show along with being smart, educated, and employed, that kind of tracks. This Jade Francis is from Islandia, New York, a town on Long Island, an hour away from the Brooklyn Bridge in New York City. By the way, Russia is all the way over there. They were 25 years old in this August video, and being a Scorpio meant their birthday was in October or November, confirmed by their happy birthday sign in this November 19th video of 2021, making their birth year 1995. They were freshmen in the 2013 and 2014 school year. A majority of people entering college or university are between the ages of 17 and 19 years old, and attending school for 4 to 6 years on average for an undergraduate degree in the US, making them 18 in the fall of 2013. Based on this NCAA track and field reporting website, they competed from fall of 2013 to spring of 2017, so probably graduating at 21 years old in 4 years. Also, they're a person of color.
She's black and she also has flat feet.
Maybe not flat-footed, I can't say, but it is definitely a person of color. This picture showcasing what is very clearly Twinkie being walked by someone wearing shoes identical to the ones Amberlynn gifted Wifey and looking a lot like the Jade Francis competing in 2014, I'm pretty confident this person is who Amber was dating. Also, they do have a very nice cute smile. Look at that. Look, I'm not Sherlock, but I have Google and mild cognitive awareness. But for Amberlynn to assume we'd believe her that she didn't have Wifey move in and that there is in fact an entirely different person at one point was audacious.
Do you mean your wifey? Because I ain't got no wifey, so. But it's not wifey era. We have moved past that. Do I have any plans for this weekend? I do. Hanging out with someone. A new boo moment. Yes, it's a new boo moment. Regarding that whole thing, and I do not want to talk about it, like the fact that people are so crazy and they continue to think that I'm still in a relationship with this person is frustrating because it's not true.
These two people were the same person. It didn't take much proof to convince us of that, and it took Amberlynn years to admit to the lie. Just because you eventually tell the truth doesn't mean it's any less of a lie. Again, you'd think reflecting on her multitude of failed lies would showcase life would be easier just being honest or choosing to edit things out and keep some privacy. Or just, respecting your partner's wishes to be anonymous. Even when finances aren't involved, it sucks having a stable part of your life be turned upside down, going into the future with complete unknowns, and just the emotional fallout afterwards. No matter how civil, can still be really painful. But Amberlynn's intentional actions were disrespectful, immature, and every negative queer stereotype rolled into one person. It takes a while to unravel what a relationship was like when it ends, so reflecting, not navel-gazing, is ideal. Everyone is different. Everyone you date is an experiment. But having time to be alone and self-reflect and take a look at your actions, what you would change, what you wouldn't have, what you're going to keep front of mind for the next relationship, those are all really important if you do want a serious, healthy relationship going forward with somebody. But I will say there are certainly ample red flags to be aware of when you're entering a relationship. Flags Wifey was willingly colorblind towards in the years to come. I want to feel bad for them, but they knew what to expect. So the years to come are a baffling example of, even with all the caring, soft, and passionate support in the world, Amberlynn will refuse to launch.
Would you display this as a trophy? Do you have a pet? Do you have a sweet tooth? Do you love to go a-wandering beneath a clear blue sky? Have you ever visited a Chinatown section in a major city?